Boeing has outperformed competitor Airbus in aircraft deliveries for the second month of 2025, and therefore, again, the American plane maker, despite still having strong oversight, remember, from the Federal Aviation Administration, on the production of jets, shipped off 44 aircraft in February. 44 planes is also up from the 27 jets delivered in February 2024. You may recall that this is when Boeing was really facing those fresh 737 MAX and quality issues that were spurred on by a door blowout occurring at the beginning of last year. That really plagued the business and placed a pretty big question mark on the delivery of commercial airplanes. The number does represent a very minor reduction, however it's not a considerable amount, just one plane, and considering the month is a handful of days shorter, well, it's a positive. Thanks to the solid numbers, this was actually the best performance in a single month since 2023. It is a massive positive, and while it may not seem like a lot at the end of the day, you have to take every little positive like this and run with it. It has been a challenging last 12 months, and I could easily extend that to 6 or 7 years, so any slight sign of improvement is something to behold. And also applaud. For all the failures, you have to also applaud the improvements. Unsurprisingly, the manufacturer's biggest achievement in terms of deliveries was 32 for the 737 MAX. This series continues to lead from the front in production and deliveries. It is therefore their most crucial endeavor when calculated by overall numbers, and that is why when the MAX struggles, the numbers will just continue to plummet. Boeing also shipped off namely 5 of its 787 Dreamliners. This is your current wide-body flagship for the company. As you know, the 777X remains uncertified, therefore it cannot be delivered. Aside from the 777X, the performance is also really driven by the 737 MAX, but you've got to remember there are 2 variants that are still uncertified. So all of a sudden we have 3 to 4 planes that are yet to be certified that do have a backlog and would be produced on a monthly basis, but simply can't be. So you feel if Boeing is able to navigate these turbulent times, well, clearer skies should eventually be ahead in the coming years. Nevertheless, the start to 2025 has been a fantastic one, and essentially free of major negative headlines, such as quality-related concerns, which is exactly what was felt to be required for the business this year for it to be considered a successful one. Sure, you want good numbers and you also want progression in your certification processes, but all of that is absolutely irrelevant if you're continuing to have quality issues which are really suspending production rates from increasing. Gross orders for the company stood at just 13. That brings the total for the year to 41, and ultimately this is less than the net 65 orders Airbus has recorded, but Boeing will still take positives. At Airbus, however, the first 2 months of the calendar year have been far from optimal from an output standpoint, with deliveries almost down 20% year over year as well. The European manufacturer has said 65 planes have been shipped off in the first 2 months, with 40 of those coming in February, and has fallen behind Boeing's monthly performance now twice. While this isn't alarming, it highlights the challenges that Airbus has long been facing, from supply chains to more, as it really does battle complication after complication. It's also been very real about this. If you see the numbers and haven't necessarily listened to the commentary from the chief executive, well, then maybe it will come as a shock. But if you listen into some of their really important comments across recent releases and interviews and such, you'll know that this is really aligning with how they feel they're going. They've had a hard time producing their commercial planes on time due to various difficulties, and this can range from just basics, such as acquiring seats on time to install on customers' aircraft, to some really deep-rooted engine difficulties. Despite this, Airbus still has hopes that its overall deliveries in 2025 will increase over 2024, but naturally it's going to have to continue assessing how it performs month over month, and won't hesitate to reduce the figure if necessary. It has done that now 2 years in a row. Typically, the first month of the year is always going to be slower, and then your efforts will ramp up. However, if the challenges are to persist, it will complicate those matters and again force an internal review. So what are your thoughts on the performance thus far in terms of deliveries over at Boeing and even in comparison to Airbus? Let me know down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for your next recap.
And we'll fly.